and welcome everybody to another tier list video. I love doing these, especially on days like today when my brain is just like not really working. But at the same time, on days like this, my brain is like in full on like judgy mode. So there is nothing more perfect to do than tier list judging all the Kindle Unlimited books that I've read so far this year. There is 59 books on this list, so I think without much further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, this is the tier list we're making. We're keeping it pretty simple, 5 categories, nothing too big, nothing too major. We are working with category number 1, I am obsessed. These are books that were great. They were like most likely 4.5, 5 stars. I probably have the physical copy of these on my shelf. Next up, solid, good choice, good book. I liked it. I had a grand old time with these. The next category is a little bit of a different one. It scratched an itch. What I mean by that is the book was not very good, but it did what it had to do in the moment, which was make me feel better, and I had fun reading it. And then the next category is just no. I think that one speaks for itself. It's just a no. This was not a book that I personally enjoyed. It might be a book that you enjoy, but it's not one that I enjoyed. And the last one is wait. I read that one, which probably is a category that is pretty full at the end of this. I'm not going to go in detail with all these books. I'm going to tell you a few things. Let's jump into the books straight away. We are starting this one off with Miss Ava's Scandalous Secret. I would say that this book was a solid choice, solid good book. It's fun. It's Regency romance. Think Bridgerton, but I like it better, probably because it's a little more modern and therefore not as problematic as Bridgerton is. The next one is in the same series, which is Lady Avery and the False Butler. I would say this falls into the same category just because it does. These are fun books. They're just fun to read, to like sieve through. They're good. Next up, Distance. Honestly, I don't know. I know that at the time I needed these books. So they're either going to be in what I read this or they scratched an itch. But the thing is, I just remember that they're mafia romances. I remember absolutely nothing else about them, so I'm just gonna go with they scratched an itch at the time because I know I had fun. But I also know that I know nothing about them anymore. Whoops. Lorenzo. I remember that I didn't like this one. I don't know what it was about it. It's another one of the mafia romances. This one didn't even scratch the itch. I did not enjoy that one. We have The Heist. Honestly, these books, they were fun. The thing is, there's 3 books in that series. Do I look like somebody who remembers each of the 3 books? Absolutely not. I'm just gonna go with they scratched an itch. I just remember that they're kind of like ex-military dudes who are like working against the mafia. I remember liking the 3rd book in that series. I just don't know which one it was. Okay, we have Lady Ludmilla's Accidental Letter, which honestly, I'm probably gonna put it in I'm Obsessed. That was the 1st book in that series, and it was so much fun. I had a blast. I like this one a lot. I have the 4th book on my Kindle right now. I might actually just read that just because this series is so fun and it's so feel good. It's just good. Alright, next up we have Out of the Gate. Out of the Gate is the novella for the 1st series that Elsie Silver ever wrote. So for a novella, I would say it kind of scratched the itch just because I wanted to know that, but it's just a novella. So not the best. And next we have A False Start. So A False Start was a solid good book in that series. It just wasn't my favorite. Where is my favorite, by the way? Here, Off to the Races, which was the 1st book. I think that was my favorite in that series. I'm just gonna put it as a favorite. We're not gonna go in order if we don't care about the order. I'm already off to a great start. Soul of a Witch. See, this one was the 3rd book in the series, and by that one I was done, so I'm gonna put Soul of the Witch here, and the rest of it probably like a little higher, but we're gonna go to that when we come to it just didn't scratch the itch. Alright, this is Bound Together. This is just no. This is just no. It's just no. It wasn't good. It wasn't fun. I had a horrible time. The 1st book is essentially them struggling the entire time to realize that they can actually be in a relationship with multiple people at the same time. And it took them so long. And then the 2nd book is just them doing it the entire time. no plot. It was so boring. I didn't have a good time with these. The next one is Her Soul for Revenge. This one scratched the itch, alright? It just did. I think, honestly, the first book in that series, I like that one very much. So I'm actually gonna think Her Soul to take. That's moving into solid good book. I liked that. It's very dark and a little bit fantasy-ish, but just not very much of it. There is a demon, so if you're into that, good series. Okay, Detained. Yeah, I read this. I don't remember a thing about it. Like, I don't. Ooh, next is Seeing Red. I'm obsessed with this book. I have this book on my shelves. It's great. This is a surprise pregnancy trope book, so if you're not into that, I'm sorry for you. I actually am, weirdly enough. It's one of my favorite tropes, I might actually have to say, when it is done correctly, because you can mess up the accidental pregnancy trope. Anyway, this book was so much fun. I loved it. I had a good time. Okay, next is Whiskey and Sin. See, I remember this book. I just remember, I'm gonna put it in Just No. I started this book thinking it was just gonna be a gay romance, and I was like, yes, please. It turned out to be Omegaverse, and it just got weird. I usually don't mind Omegaverse, and I love reading gay romance, so I don't know what went wrong, but something went wrong along the way, and I did not have a good time. See, Live Ranch Love. I'm pretty sure that I liked this book. I just don't remember it anymore. It was a small town romance that is like cowboy-ish. I just don't remember what it was about. Same with Bright Lights and Summer Nights. Pretty sure that these are like billionaire romances, but I have no idea what's going on there anymore. Like, absolutely no idea. The 9-month contract. This is not an accidental pregnancy trope. This is an artificial insemination trope. Some things in this were weird, but overall, this book scratched the itch. Absolutely, it did. It has an age gap, so if you don't like that, maybe don't read this, but it was fun, it was very spicy, and it did for me what I wanted it to do, and that's all that matters. How to Kiss Your Grumpy Boss. Honestly, this series, solid. So much fun, small town romance, a few brothers that each have their own book. It was fun. This was a fun series. I actually remember some things about it. Pretty Rings and Broken Things. Yeah, absolutely no clue what this one was about. It's just gonna go next to its brother and they're gonna exist there together because what even is this? Next to this one. No. This hockey, I don't know. But this book has the cheating trope in it, and sure, you're not a fan of the ex-boyfriend, but it would have been so easy for her to just end it with the ex-boyfriend, so why didn't she? It just didn't make sense. Also, the whole storyline was very weird. Like, it did not make any sense. Alright, the rest of the series is just also gonna go into solid good. I'm gonna put all 4 of them here. How to Kiss Your Enemy, How to Kiss a Movie Star, and How to Kiss Your Best Friend. How to Kiss Your Best Friend is the first book in the series. Probably also my favorite, so I think I'm gonna put this in I'm Obsessed, just because this series is good. I want these as paperbacks, so I think that later this year, I'm gonna, like, once I'm done with my book buying ban, I'm gonna buy a bunch of books that I actually already read and that I loved, so that I don't add more books to my TBR, but I still get to buy books. If that makes sense to you, we're on the same wavelength. Next up is Academically Yours. This one I have to put in Just No. I didn't enjoy it. I think I might have even DNF'd the book. It just wasn't for me. It was very boring. I didn't have a good time. It's supposed to be like a college and professor romance, and it was just weird. They didn't have any chemistry. Don't Call Me Daddy. I recently read this one, and honestly, I have to say, it scratched an itch. It was very fun. It was also one of the spiciest books I read, so that's fun. I didn't expect it. From the way that it looks, you don't expect that. So, good book, fun book. Again, age gap romance. Are we mad about it? Absolutely not. Where You Belong. I do not know where you belong because I do not know you. You're a stranger to me. You're going into... I don't remember I read this. Next up, The Fake Out. This book, honestly, no. Go up here. I am obsessed. This hockey romance series, so good. So much fun. I love these. I don't know why nobody talks about them, but more people should. Next up, I read Unhinged. I'm gonna put Unhinged into It Scratched an Itch because it did. It was so funny reading this book. I made an entire video on it if you want to watch it, up there. It was fun, okay? This book is so weird that it's just so entertaining. You just have to take it all with like a grain of salt. It's just weird, but it's funny. Okay, Spookly Yours. I just finished this book and honestly, it was solid good. I might even be obsessed. It's a cute Halloweeny romance and I was like really in the mood for that one, so it was good. It was fun. I liked it. I'm actually also putting this one on the shopping list. Actually, they're all on my Amazon wish list because I'm on a book buying ban. So they are waiting until I can actually afford books again. The Worst Wedding Date. Yeah, I have absolutely no recollection of reading this book. None. I don't remember this at all. Oh, Rabbit. Just no. This was also Omegaverse, but weird. Just weird. It did not scratch the itch I wanted to scratch. Drink break! Now here we are at Torn Apart, which I'm gonna put here to its buddy, and we're just gonna deal with it. The Hit. I think The Hit was the first book in that series. I don't remember it anymore, but I think The Hit was the first one. I don't remember, so I'm just gonna put it in, wait, I read this? Because I don't remember. Oh my gosh, Betrothal or Breakaway. This is such a cute hockey romance that is spice-free. There are so little spice-free romances for adults out there, and I was so glad when I read this series. These are adorable hockey romances that are just like, they're scratching all the itches, and I'm obsessed with them. I have all 3 of these books on my shelves. The first one is Desire or Defense. If you ever want to pick up one of them, I highly encourage you to do that. Next up, another book that I'm obsessed with. The only reason I don't have this book yet is because of my book buying ban and because right now I can't. So I'm gonna have to get them for my birthday in November because that's when I'm allowed to buy books again. Until then, they're gonna sit on my wish list and be ignored. Alright, I also read The Cock on the Block, which I think it was just no. I don't think I liked this series. I remember some parts of it. I remember liking a few things, but I think overall I thought they had no chemistry and therefore I did not like the book because a romance book without chemistry is kind of weird. Hideaway. This one scratched an itch. It's mafia romance. It's very dark. It's dark romance, like full-on dark romance with like kidnapping and stuff, but I had a blast. She's a librarian protecting a book, I believe, and he wants to sell the book to somebody. It's very fun, and she's just in the way. The Brightest Light of Sunshine. I read this 2 days ago, 3 days ago, I think. I remember it being good. I don't necessarily remember what it was about, but I remember it being good and fun. Wrapped Up in You. I don't necessarily remember the book itself. I just remember not liking it. So it's going into the no-no pile, and we're just gonna ignore that I read this book. Meet Me Halfway. I just read this, and it was a no. It didn't really scratch the itch. It was a single mom romance with a very abusive ex-boyfriend that learns to love again and falls in love with her much older neighbor. It was fine, but at the same time, it was weird. There were logic errors in there. King of Sloth. Interesting. I would put this into solid good book. I have the entire series here. I just read them on Kindle sometimes because then that way I don't have to open the books and potentially damage them. But the book itself was fine. The series it's a fine series. It's nothing that will like move my world, but it's fun. Detonate. Yeah, I don't remember this. No clue what's going on here. Broken Bonds. Oh my gosh, I am obsessed with this series. The Broken Bonds series, I read these books. There's 6 books in the series. I read them in 3 days. They were so much fun. I want the entire series as paperbacks again, but I have to wait until my birthday because book buying ban. So these are fun books. They are in like a world where people have like fated mates. So she has 5 fated mates. It's like fantasy, reverse harem. It's so much fun. I devoured this entire series. It was so good. Love Unwritten. I remember being obsessed with this book. I don't necessarily remember any more like the details. I just remember that this is like single dad romance and he has like a lot of animals that he rescued in his backyard and it was adorable. Alpha Inmate. Just no. I thought for a second that Omegaverse books would save my life. They did not. I was reading more and more of them and realizing that every single one was worse than the other. This one in particular was super weird. So you have this Alpha who's like in prison because he did some horrible things, and she's supposed to be his psychologist, but instead he kind of like claims her as his own. It's weird. Strung Along, I don't remember reading this at all. I have absolutely no recollection of what it was. Den of Vipers, this scratched the itch. I don't know if it was good. It's also reverse harem, or was it even like just a polyamorous relationship? I don't remember, but at the same time, do I care? Probably not that much. Karis, this was a three-way relationship, and honestly, I thought this one was pretty solid, was pretty good. It is a mafia romance, so she is kind of like trying to do stuff, and then these two guys come in. These two are already in a relationship, and she's kind of just like joining, which I thought was actually done very well, and I liked this book. Devoted. I have not devoted a single brain cell to this book. Photo finish. I'm gonna put all of these into solid good, just because I don't necessarily have the brain power to tell you which one of these books is which one, but I remember liking them all, and that's just like Elsie Silver in general. I like her a lot. The next is The Payback. I think The Payback was the one that I actually really enjoyed in this series. I think this one is the third one. I don't remember. I just remember liking the female main character in the third book a lot because she was like kind of a do-it-yourself person that had a lot of like power herself. It was fun. I liked it. And then we have Camera Shy, which honestly was also a solid good book. I enjoyed this one. I don't necessarily remember exactly what it was. I just remember that I liked it a lot and I had a blast reading it. So we're gonna leave it at that. Oh, next up, another solid good series was the Mindfuck series. I have the Mindfuck series on my shelf right now. It was so much fun. It's essentially about a FBI agent who's trying to catch a serial unaliver. However, he doesn't know that this serial unaliver is his girlfriend. And he's always like complaining to her, I need to find this guy. And she's like, sure, find him. And at the same time, she's like, constantly unaliving others. It's so much fun. And then we have Alive and Wells, which honestly, this one blew my mind. It's another cowboy romance, but it's just done so great. I love this series. The third book is coming out this year. You best believe that I am ready for it. So ready for it. And then lastly, we have Chasing Wild. I'm gonna put this into It Scratched an Itch. It's another cowboy romance. She is, I believe, a vet, and she stays at this guy's farm, but he is also her ex-boyfriend's dad. Just let that sink in for a bit, and we'll wrap this video up. So, I'm actually pretty happy with this. I'm surprised at how many of the books I actually do remember, because usually my brain is completely fried, but I think I read some pretty good books on Kindle Unlimited. Usually I go into Kindle Unlimited like with no expectations at all, and then for some books, like if I know the author already and I know I liked books of them before, who am I kidding? I liked books of her before because all of these are by female authors. I'm obsessed, okay? I just go in and I'm like, this is gonna be good. And most of the time, these all scratch the itch. Like most of the books that don't scratch the itch, they're kind of wild cards. I don't know why I read them. I just thought, maybe I need this. Sometimes it's just a quote that I see somewhere and they just pop up. I would recommend you taking a screenshot of this and just like take it as your guide to Kindle Unlimited romances and just pick some up and read them because it's fun. You don't need a Kindle, by the way, to read Kindle Unlimited romance. You can just read on your phone. It works the same way. And with that, we're already at the end of today's video. This was fun. I always like doing these. Of course, I read some more books that I know are on Kindle Unlimited in different countries, but these are all the books that are on Kindle Unlimited for me living in Germany, which is different to the US Kindle Unlimited. For example, I read When the Moon Hatched. I know that that is a Kindle Unlimited book in the US. It's just not for me, which is fine. I read the hardcover and I loved it, but some of these books, they're just like not available for me. I just have a limited availability. But then again, I could technically read German books and I'd be fine. It's a give and take. In my case, it's just a give because I don't read in German. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, remember to leave a like. Tell me what your favorite Kindle Unlimited books are if you are still here, and I will see you for the next video that I make. Bye everybody! I don't even know where my Kindle is. Like, I want to read something now. I want to add more books to this list. It's so fun. I thought there would be more, by the way. I was convinced there would be more books on there. Anyway, have a lovely day and goodbye.